What is up, guys? Today I thought that I would attempt to stream with frequency throughout the day just because I feel like since I don't get to do this very often, I feel like I need to make up for all of the lost time. And then I looked at all of the pending topics that I had and I kept telling myself, there's no reason why I cannot get this done. So in addition, I also am here in the mornings, which this is rare for me that I ever have a stream going before noon or something. So I thought that I just would give it a try and just be different. So, what does my video title mean? Well, it's going to be a story of one particular instance that really stands out to me in my mind, and that is approximately 3 years ago. I was at work one morning, and I remember that I was a cashier on this shift, and it was a pretty isolated kind of setting. It's like you're there in the morning, you're the first person, so you tend to be isolated from like the group when those circumstances are there. There was this particular person, this particular manager that I had never been tight with. And it's not because I personally had issues with her. It's one of those things of you are extremely different from how this person is, both personality wise, the way you do your job, etc., that you just become two incompatible souls. But I, as a professional, know how to handle that. Well, on this particular morning, since I personally arrived at work with fatigue and mentally I had some stuff in my mind that I was processing, I was extremely focused. When Zam is extremely focused, I tend to not understand humor. Sometimes it just flies over my head. But most of the time, if I know you very well, I know what it is that you're doing, I know what you're saying, and I can engage in the humor with you because we are tight. When you have a connection with someone, stuff just works out without you having to put so much effort into it. And whereas the opposite is true, if you happen to be in the company of someone who you associate as stressful, the absolute opposite is going to happen. So, with this manager that I was working with, she is a very intense person. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because I like to go to my job and take things seriously. I go there to do a good job. I'm not lazy. I'm a perfectionist, overachiever, all of those traits that we associate with people who have integrity and whatnot. Well, with this person being there, I already arrived at work with the preconceived notion of today is really going to suck because I am with this person. And on top of that, I am stressed. I'm also tired. So I just need to focus so that I am sharp and my job performance does not suffer. Well, this person just so happened to need to come through my line for me to ring them up. And it wasn't clear to me that they were standing on the line because they don't usually do that. They don't usually come to me to purchase something, let alone that early in the morning. And honestly, this person had no indication that they were standing by me because they needed to be checked out. I just looked at it as, oh, my manager is here just to like take a look around, make sure that everything is in place, orderly, clean, etc. So I kept doing what I was doing, and she left. And then I said, all right, well, the screening is over, so they're going back to their station. And it turns out that this person was there because they wanted to check out. And they never said anything to me. If you saw that I was engaged and not like giving my attention to you, what a normal person would do is say something like, if you're a customer, a regular customer, you'll be like, are you open? which you tend to ask that when it's very obvious that my light is on, my belt is clean, and I am there. So therefore, logical conclusion is yes, this lane is available for you. But if you work there and you know that is my assigned register and I am not headed to you, logical conclusion should be I am assuming that you, in your position of power, are just there to observe me. Just like teachers occasionally have the principal step into their classrooms and they're just standing there observing, looking, and they don't interact with you, they don't say anything. So, anyways, that happened. And then this person, about an hour later, decided to like pull me from my register, and we sat down somewhere like just really close to the working space. And then this person was like, the way she started this conversation was like, are you going to tell me what your problem with me is? And I was like, what? I was genuinely confused. Like, I am not someone who starts stuff with people for you to initiate the conversation in that manner. So, anyways, I go again. I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. What? And then she goes, well, it's just that I went over to your register to pay for my coffee and you ignored me. And I'm like, I didn't know that you were there to get a coffee. Next time, just let me know, hey, Zamara, I'm here and I need your help. Or, hey, this and that. But you never said that. You literally never said that. You know my name, you know where I'm at, you know everything about me. And for some reason, you could not be like, I need assistance, you know, I'm your customer. So anyway, so she said, well, I have noticed that your attitude toward me has been different. You don't really speak to me, this and that. And I'm like, if you're talking about today, just understand that I have some stuff going through my mind, and I am trying my very best, which when I say I am actually trying my best, it means that I am giving it more than I normally give my job, because I cannot rely on doing this job on autopilot. I need to actually focus and put effort into maintaining my performance because I am struggling on the side. And unless you know me well, you wouldn't even be able to tell that I'm suffering from the stuff that's going on in my mind. And part of it was also that I was getting sick as well during that time. Now that I remember, I just remember being physically out of it. So anyway, she said, well, I just noticed that you were over there speaking to an employee, and you were laughing, you were having fun with this person. Whereas when I head over, you become really cold and tense. And I'm like, if you're talking about that guy over there, it's because you know that that is a buffoon. And buffoons, who are good buffoons, will make you laugh. And this person, I do not associate with stress, whereas you, being a very intense, demanding manager who typically is difficult to be around because we have our incompatible personalities, I will not exactly be the most joyful person in your presence, because that's just the way things are. And I don't have a problem with that. I know how to adapt to that. But you are expecting and demanding from me something that I simply cannot give you because we just don't click, you know? And I have tried it before. I have tried to be tight with you, and it never works out because you're the absolute opposite of what I am. You like to talk about people behind their backs. I don't. You like to gossip. I don't. You like to talk people down. I certainly do not. And what I mean by that is she'll say stuff like, oh, well, I'll make sure that I get this done because I don't trust anybody else doing cleaning like I do. Oh, well, I know people do stuff how they perceive is the best way to do it. And I know for a fact that I was not raised to be a half-assed person at my job. And because your standards are so extraordinary, I get stressed out trying to fulfill it, because when I think that I have done an outstanding job in your book, I am not. So I do not have the most happiest of thoughts about you when you're here, unless you are in a good mood, which sometimes that's hard to tell too, because apparently only you can be the one having problems in her life, and then you show up to work and that affects your attitude, but then you're trying to blame us that we are not adjusting to you when it's you who needs to adjust to your circumstances, your struggles, your challenges, and make sure that that doesn't negatively impact those who are around you. And then, anyways, at the end of the day, during this discussion, I remember that I started crying. And the reason I started crying is because I was fucking angry. When Zam gets fucking angry, she cries. And the reason I'm crying is because I am trying to talk sense to you, or you are keeping me from doing something that actually matters. Like at that moment in time, I'm at work, I am a high performing employee, and you are interrupting me with your bullshit because you have insecurities. And I feel like I am slacking and falling behind, and because of your stunt, now I am falling behind on my work, and that means more work for me to do, and I'll have to put extra effort to put myself at the level that I'm supposed to be at given the progression of the day. You're disrupting my flow, in other words. I will not be happy by that time. So, anyways, she was like, well, I really don't mean to make you feel that way. But just know that it really hurt me when you had that attitude toward me. And I could see that it was just targeted at me because you were not having any other issues with other employees. And I'm like, what part of I can have a sense of humor with this person because they are compatible with me and you are not? Do you not get? I have tried to make jokes with you and around you and whatnot, and you were always hypersensitive about it. At that point, it is no longer my fault that you don't get it. Like, don't try to force amicability with me when we are incompatible. The best you can do is just be my manager, stay in your lane, and don't fucking bother me, you know? So, anyways, that's how it went down pretty much. And in the end, what bothered me was that she went around the department saying that she sat me down and to the point that she made me cry. And I'm like, baby, it's not being, why do you, I don't need, I mean, I don't care how the story goes. At the end of the day, I know the truth. And my action the same way to prove any, Zam, I wasn't you so assertive before and so focused and defending her know that her days of emotionally abusing me are over. And if I started crying, it's because I wanted to get up from that chair and, you know, like exercise some real discipline, but physically, the way that I experienced when I was a kid. So I'm glad that I didn't do that because it would lead me into other problems. But fortunately, my emotions are in check to where I wouldn't resort to such a thing. But it just really reminded me of a time when I remember being disciplined, and I also remember why there are certain disciplinary methods that are more effective than others. And I was really trying my darnedest to just keep it together because this person needed, has never been able to control me, and she needed some kind of medium to exercise power over me because she's never been able to handle me. And now the best that she can do is just go around the department saying the story the way that, it didn't happen. And it only bothers me because it reinforces the fact that this is my manager, this is a person in a position of power who I have to report to, and I cannot trust this person. Nothing sucks more than you knowing that you cannot trust someone who you need to report to, collaborate with, and just spend so much time together with. That leaves you feeling terrible. So, but anyways, at the end of the day, I understood that she just has a massive complex and it is up to her to remedy that. And now, present day, some 3 years later, she had to go around the department. I don't know if it was required or recommended from upper management that she do this, or if this is something that she started on her own. I don't know. I don't care. But in the end, she had told me that she had embarked in this project of going around the department, talking to people so that they can tell her what she can improve in, and also to remedy relationships, because many people have always had complaints about her, primarily her attitude. And when my turn came to sit down with her, she was the one who actually started crying, because I said, look, I am going to be as sincere as possible with you, and it's going to suck, but some of it is going to be really good. And I started the conversation off with compliments. So this is the stuff that you undeniably do well. You have great attendance. The way that you explain things is clear. The way that you give instructions is clear. The way you maintain the department is very good. Like, I cannot say that you worked the night shift and I came in the morning before and the place was a disaster. I cannot say that about you. When I have situations with customers or situations with team members that I'm able to share with you, you come over and you help me repair it. I really like your skill. You are good at what you do because you only have 20 years of experience being in this building. So needless to say, the expectations of you are up there since you have such experience. However, this is some of the stuff that I am not very fond of. Attitude, your stress, the way that you tend to be sarcastic, the way that you are backstabbing, and the way that we just never know what your personality is. And this is how it affects the department. I'm not going to break it down because it should be very obvious. But at the end of the day, she was the one who was actually crying in relief because someone finally told her the truth. And although I was telling her the truth, I wasn't saying it in a venomous type of way, like in a hurtful type of way. I said, these are the things that I believe that you can improve, and this is my recommendation on how you should go about it. But above all that I just said to you, treat it like it's bullshit for the next 2 minutes. This is what you really need to take out from what I am telling you. It's going to take a long ass time for you to remedy your situation. Because unfortunately for you, with the new people and with the veterans, those of us who have been here for a considerable amount of time, we got to know this side of you. This is the picture of you that we have. On new people, undoing that impression is going to be, it's going to be either difficult or very easy, because they can be like, oh, well, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, so maybe this person just was overwhelmed, they hit their tipping point, it happens. But they may also look at it as first impressions matter. The impression I got of you is that you are a very difficult person, so therefore there's no way I feel comfortable with this person's redemption. Now, with the veterans, it's pretty much the same thing, except that a little more complicated, because we will know stuff about you that we would only know about you being there for years. And that is an image that we have engraved in our minds from constant marination. Like, this is what you have been year after year after year after year. And now for you to come out and say that you want to be better and improve and change, we are going to be critical of you. What's your intention? Is it because you are being deprived of moving up? Is it because you want your raise to look better? Is it because you're afraid that if you get another complaint, this may be it for you? Are you on upper management's radar and you're trying to, like, you know, stay low for a little bit? That's the problem. that veterans are going to hold you to a higher standard, and it'll be more difficult to persuade us that you're actually being genuine. Some people are going to treat you like you're not genuine. Some people are going to take advantage of the fact that you have humiliated yourself. And now they're going to try to make it difficult for you to overcome this because they got used to your negative side and they want for you to remain on the negative side so that we can get rid of you. It's going to happen because out of fallen trees, people tend to burn up whatever wood that you can get out of the fallen tree. So they're going to set you ablaze, lady. And I just want you to be mentally prepared for that because it's going to take a long time. I wish I could predict to you how long that's going to take. Is it going to take a week? Definitely not a week. A month? A year? 5 years? It's going to take a long time, and you need to be prepared to accept that as quickly as you want for the process to take place and everything to evolve and get better. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, there is a lot of personalities that you're dealing with. A lot of us simply do not recover from certain wounds quite as quickly as others. And me individually, I know how to let go of bad things the moment they happen. So on my end, I always let you restart with a fresh page every single day that I showed up. That's how I can be consistent. But I do not forget about the stuff that you did to me, which I have to remember what you did to me because it concerns me. And I am also trying to keep myself safe and sound. But if you really are trying to change now, at least it's good that you acknowledge that you do have a problem, but it might have arrived a little late. And what I am hoping for is that you are equipped with the patience with yourself, but also with those who surround you to process this. So, anyways, you guys, that's pretty much my story about what happened and how it happened. And the reason I created a topic out of this is because I would like to know how you guys have experienced this. Because I know that this is seen in multiple variations. Another example that I can share is when you are being emotionally abused in relationships. I have been there. I have been stuck there. I have tolerated that so much. But eventually, there comes a day where you just wake up and you say, the days of me being a victim are over. And after that, your days are so much better. You're happier. You have more control over your life. And I think that this is something that's very important to discuss more openly, more often, because now that I pulled myself out of that situation of being manipulated and abused and intimidated, now looking back, I wish that I could extend the hand to my own self from the past and be like, hey girl, like, what are you doing? This is not safe for you. Get out. Let's get you out of there. But because you cannot go back in time to fix things, it's in a sense good that that's the way things are, because I wouldn't want to change it. Because had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. But for anybody else who feels like there's no way out of those situations, I just want you to know that if you can recognize that this person is at fault, no matter what, stay true to yourself, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the winner, no matter what. And there was a time in which I thought that I would never get anywhere, because I say with my manager, I could not possibly rival this person's experience. They've been there for decades, whereas I'm barely pushing my first decade of experience being there. That can be pretty intimidating because we live in a society that really values ranks, positions, titles, and whatnot. But just remember that not being an asshole, it's your responsibility no matter what your position is, no matter what your title is. And sometimes when you deal with an arrogant person like this, you don't recognize that. It really catches you off guard, especially if that's not something that you're exposed to very often. I cannot say that I had been exposed to so much disrespect before until I arrived at this place. And it's really limited to one person for the most part. Because with other people, it's been isolated incidents. But at least I'm just very grateful that I have gone through all of this because as someone who is not very fond of socializing. Like, I'm not the strongest with those skills. I'm not really a people person. I don't go out of my way to have connections like that. Now I'm just grateful that everything happened the way it did, and I wouldn't change anything. So, with all my rambling aside, I am going to catch up with the comments because I just didn't want to lose my flow. So, good morning, everybody. Uh, Garuda says first and isolated. Art student says good morning and hugs. Good morning and big socially distant hugs to you. I love your critical thinking. I appreciate that because sometimes I feel like I may label something as critically thinking when it's not really critically thinking. It should be common sense. But then I remember that not everyone tends to spend enough time thinking about things, peeling multiple layers at a time. And that's not to say that I am far superior in thinking than anybody else, not at all. What I'm trying to say is that unless it's something essential, something crucial, we may not really exercise our minds at thinking beyond that first layer. And I really like to change that a little bit because I feel like sometimes we let our fatigue, our lack of motivation, exhaustion, frustrations, whatever it is, blind us and reduce our abilities to perform certain things, like thinking. And I know that some stuff doesn't need to be. I get accused of overthinking a lot, pretty much. And I'm like, I can overthink now in a way that doesn't consume me. Whereas in the past, when I used to overthink, I used to get depressed and I used to get anxious because I could not handle my hypersensitivity. That was it. All I needed was experience, exposing myself to different people, letting go of certain things, and also allowing for other people to be involved in my life. Because I used to be very sheltered. And when you're sheltered and you get used to that, you cannot expect for that person to just open the doors to you. And at the same time, I'm glad that I am that way. Because if I keep myself pretty detached, I feel like I can remain close to unbiased as possible. You may be my friend. I may be super tight with you. We may be great working buddies. But at the end of the day, if you do something wrong, unfortunately, I have to vouch against you. And I feel like if I forged more emotional and personal connections with people earlier on without being an outsider for a long time, I would not be able to be that critical. I would not be able to seemingly turn on that person that I know well and favor the unlikely person. And it's not about favoritism or anything, but I'm just saying that it's like, say, if my mom did something wrong, I feel compelled to defend her because she's my mom. But at the same time, if she's wrong, you're fucking wrong. I'm not going to side with you so that two people make it seem like this side is right more than the other. No, if you done messed up, you messed up and you have to own it. I don't like to play that game of let's figure out a way how to keep your image from being tainted. Like, no, you fucked up. You need to own it. You know, just like you raised me. So yeah, I sometimes wonder why people do not give up on people when you should give up on people because they are simply wrong. And in the end, in the process, you end up losing yourself as well. and you're doing more harm than good by denying that stuff is the way it is. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. I have met many people who do that. Like, no matter what, I'm going to stand by you even if you're wrong. In some circumstances, that's okay, perfectly acceptable. You're just showing your support, solidarity, whatever. But there are certain things in life that you just cannot take that stance with. And I would hope that you would know how to gauge that. Sounds like you work in a department store. I do. Yep, I do. Or a go-go bar, high five for mental wish. There is no way that as long as I have a choice, you would find me at a bar. I, for instance, hate that type of environment. It's really tight knit, loud, and I also would not like to be around drinks like that. So I absolutely hate that type of setting. That's funny. I haven't cried in 10 years. The last time I cried was because I was in horrible, horrible pain. I don't remember when that was, but it was within the last month. I mean, it was excruciating. And I probably told you guys the story, but maybe not. It's been strange to not stream with frequency because now, also with lockdowns and stuff, I don't tend to create memories of how my days are because my days tend to look the same. So now I cannot remember whom I have told a story to. And it also doesn't help that some of the people who surround me have terrible memories. Unbelievably terrible memories. But but anyways, terrible pain, and it was the kind of pain that it's bad enough to give you nausea. And then I'm like, I can't move. I feel terrible. I cannot function. I feel miserable. I'm gonna cry. But yeah, but emotionally, real emotional tears. Probably since last winter, and it was because I had to tell. It was pretty much me needing to say goodbye to a friend, but it was a goodbye that had the potential of being permanent. Because, say, you're really tight with this person, but they are doing something that hurts you, so you need to just take separate ways. But we were able to talk and remedy it, and I'm like, I'm really glad that we were able to fix this because there should there's just something strange about needing to end a good friendship just because of one thing that's severe enough to do you apart. But I said, you know what? Let's not ignore this, but as best as we can, let's not let this sever our ties because it's really sad that good things need to come to an end simply because of a factor. I really hate that. So if I'm able to maintain a non toxic relationship with my father, of all people, then why would I not be able to do that with you when you have been so nice and kind and generous and helpful and supportive? All of the things that I have needed and been hungry for in my life, you have been there providing me with. Why would I cancel you? Simply because of one issue, you know? So, anyway, that's one of those instances in which I said, wow, I have matured. I can handle things. Maybe she is your evil twin. Now that you say that, people say that we look alike. Because, and it's fucking true. We kind of have the same glasses shape. We have curly hair, but my curly hair is much more curly than hers. Hers is the kind of curly that has more life to it, put it that way. Like mine is the kind that if you were to run your fingers through it, it really gets stuck, you know? Whereas hers, they're smoother curls, let's put it that way. And her hair is more brown than mine. Mine looks black most of the time, but you just need to trust me that it's supposed to be brown. And I wonder that. I'm like, why is it that as a kid I had brown hair with blondish highlights, and then it somehow turned into this bullshit that you guys see now? And I'm like, how did it happen? When did it happen? Why was I not noticing the changes in my hair? Just like blonde people tend to say that they were blonder as kids, but now it's turned dark. And then some people say that when they were kids, they had darker hair, and then it turned lighter for some reason. But anyway, also we are about the same height. We don't have the same body type, but our shape can be similar. Um, she was significantly smaller than me, like skinny, slimmer, whereas I have thickness to me. It's not to say that she is flat like an ironing board, but for me, if I'm not careful, as you guys can see, I can gain 20 pounds in a very short period of time. For her, she's the kind of person who can probably eat a lot without any measure and she won't gain an ounce. That type of metabolism kind of figure, I guess. Um, and she's not bad looking, but she also has terrible habits. Like, she's definitely the person who I know who drinks the most excessive amount of coffee. It's either her or one of her immediate colleagues. I don't know who drinks more coffee, but I feel like he spends a lot of time in the bathroom, probably from all the cups that he drinks, but very easily I see him drinking more than 3 cups per shift. And she used to brag that she could drink 7 cups. And I'm like, that's why you're always just hyper and shaking and you don't have your mind together. But also on top of that, you're taking medication, and on top of that, you are also a smoker. Like, you have other habits that you guys know. Maybe you know this yourself because you may be a smoker. I hope not. But once you become addicted, from what I have been told and I have observed because I've had family who did that, you start losing your mind and shaking and get nervous and start pacing weirdly when it's time for you to have your next smoke. That is exactly how she is. Like, during her breaks, she used to go outside to her car to smoke it all away. And that's not to say that people who don't smoke are inherently better than those who smoke. I'm just saying that we don't have a dependence on a chemical that you're addicted to and that you just need to recur to feel better, and we don't. So we are perfectly fine going at least 8 hours of our lives without resorting to that stuff, or try your entire life without going for that stuff. So I feel like those who try to quit, I definitely credit their effort. I have no idea what it's like to have your brain altered by a chemical that you become very dependent on and you cannot resist the urge. I have been interviewing 2 people who I just walked up to them and asked once I found out that they used to be smokers. I was shocked by one particular person. I was like, can I ask you some questions? I need to understand why, where, when, just really, really, really why and how. I was like, does nicotine have a taste? Does the cigarette taste good? Is it a image thing? Were you pressured into it? And most people who I have had the casual conversation with, whatever questions I have gotten answered has been, well, it's just that everyone in my family smoked. I grew up around it, and I felt pressured into beginning to smoke because I would be asked, oh, it's strange that you don't pick up a smoke, or here, why don't you have a smoke with us? And I felt like if I declined, then I would be a disgrace. And I'm like, I totally get that. because I have been treated as a disgrace just because when I was a teen, I would not do it behind my mom's back. Like, say, if I was offered to drink and I was like, no, I cannot drink because I'm not 21, I'm fucking 15. And then people were like, why do you care about the law? It doesn't matter. No one has to find out. We all did it before we were of age. And I'm like, that is you. Congrats. If you enjoyed it, good for you. I like to respect the rules. And I don't like to live like I'm hiding something. And what better feeling in the world than knowing that you don't owe anything to anybody and that you're doing things right? So, anyways, um, so yeah, I would say she is my evil twin. Because when it comes to our job performance, we're pretty similar. She's thorough, I'm thorough. She pays attention to detail, I pay attention to detail. She's clear in her communication, I'm clear in my communication. We come up with very good ideas. We are not afraid of talking to people and telling people things the way they are. We have such amazing traits, but it's unbelievable that you may have the same kind of performance, but that output is performed by two people who are completely different when it comes to personality. So because of that example, I'm glad that I have that example because now I hold people up to that standard. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're a parent, if you're single, if you're married, if you have a good attitude, bad attitude, positive attitude, if you're a smoker, if you have a good diet, bad diet, it is possible for you to do things right and for you to do this job. So I am not going to give you a pass just because of your circumstances? Uh, let's see. Hello, JP. Upper management was probably on her case. I think so too, only because someone who reports to upper management made a comment that they are that she is on their radar, and I'm like, what does that mean? Is it a write up? Is it that if you get another strike, bad things might happen? Um, but you just never know because unfortunately, anybody can say anything about anybody at work. But it seems legit because this was affecting a lot of people. And I don't know if this is true, but there is a rumor that a person who was new many months ago quit because of her. Like, she was giving this person a hard time, and then she decided that she couldn't take the disrespect anymore, and she abruptly quit, and apparently quit cussing her out. And I was like, maybe this was the final tipping point. Like, you were able to drive people into quitting. That's not nice. And what's sad is that I was almost that person. When I started working back in 2013, I came so close to quitting. I remember coming home to mom. I was mad. I was like, there's this fucking lady and this other fucking lady who make my life impossible. Having a mutual shift with these two there simultaneously is suicide. I could I could feel my heart rate going up, my blood pressure was probably going up, everything bad, every bad emotion and physical symptom that I detest was just coming to me. And I said, I'm only 4 months into the job. Is this how it's going to be? But I'm glad that I didn't quit because at the end of the day, stuff got better, even if it took years, and it also taught me tolerance. Whereas if I kept quitting my jobs because I don't like the people there, what does that say about me? And how am I making myself better if I'm keeping myself in a bubble? You know? You are right. No one should endure an abusive relationship, either personal or work setting. Yes, and the thing of it is that some of us feel, at least in my case, I always felt like there was no point on telling on someone because this is an adult and you expect that they are aware of this stuff. But what blows my mind is that this person who I'm talking about, she claimed that she was not aware that that's how people were feeling around her. And I'm like, are you serious? Everybody avoids you. Nobody trusts you. You come to me telling me that you're resentful, that people don't come to you to tell you things. They would rather wait 4 hours for the next manager to come in to tell them things, or they would rather go to another employee and maybe even ask this other employee to, on their behalf, go to you. And we don't really try to keep it secret. When you come to the scene, we quiet down, we stop talking until you disappear, not because we're talking about you, but because you like to auto invite yourself into our discussions in which you are not part of the club. And that's not telling enough that that we're actively trying to turn our backs on you. What do we need to say? Mrs. Miss, we are trying to avoid you. That's why we're going quiet. Don't trip. We ain't talking about you. We're just gonna wait until you leave so that we can resume our conversation. Is that what you wanted to hear? Because I mean, I'll do it. I'll be that person. But yeah, it concerns me when people say that they were not aware. And I don't want to say she is a liar, but there has been experience of her not saying things the way they are. Like my story, for instance, when she was trying to say that she was like enforcing discipline upon me and reduced me to tears. No, that's not how it happened at all. And maybe the stuff I said to her, maybe she tried to tell other people that that's what she told me. And that's true actually, because now that I remember, there is this older lady who she was particularly concerned. She was like, well, I was looking at you and I was wondering what she was doing to you, because I know that whatever it was, you were defending yourself from her, because I can't stand her either. And I know how toxic she is. And I was like, nah, the only reason I was, escalating my emotion was because I wanted to let this person know that they don't intimidate me anymore and their days of manipulating me and abusing me are over. That's it. And what's sad is that bullies tend to get really frightened when you begin to stand up for yourself. Like, they tend to be really shocked that you're defending yourself. And after that, they just never bother you again. And I think that is insane. Like, imagine if everybody decided to stand up for themselves that very first time, and then the bully just fucks off. It's great. But most of us tend to be really shy and intimidated, especially if you come from a very sheltered type of background. You just don't know better. You don't know how to diagnose people. And that's dangerous. It's really dangerous. So I was fortunate enough that I I'm not the kind of person to keep stories like that to myself. I always let my mom know, and she was telling me, "Oh, so it looks like you have encountered your first bitch." I just want you to know that you keep doing what you're doing. Always do a job that you're proud of, and eventually this person will fall under their own weight. I didn't know what that meant until years later. I am where I'm at, and this person isn't. But anyway, how many cups of coffee do you drink in a day? I drink 0 cups of coffee in a day because coffee is nasty, it's gross, it's disgusting, it's mud, it has the most absolute foul flavor ever. I want nothing to do with coffee. Coffee is disgusting, and people who drink coffee have a tendency of getting really close to you and speak really close to your face, and you smell that fucking coffee breath, and it is sickening. I don't drink coffee. So No cups of coffee. I have tried coffee. I have tried it with creamer. I have tried it with plant based milk. I have tried it with cow tit spray kind of milk. I have tried it with a lot of sugar, very little sugar, honey. I've tried so much with coffee and I just fucking do not like it. I even tried the mocha and it did not go well. Now, I tried it cold. Maybe I should give the hot one an opportunity because maybe the chocolate is going to somehow just melt into the coffee better. I don't know. But I have not met a version of coffee I can mess with. I even tried the hazelnut creamer on it. And you know what I ended up doing? I ended up, tossing the coffee and then I took the creamer and I dispensed it onto a cup and just slurped it so that I could get rid of that fucking coffee aftertaste. And the worst part about coffee, too, is that the aftertaste, it just sticks to you like crazy. I almost felt like I am sweating coffee. Like that is how terrible it is. So maybe I'll create an official coffee video and let you guys see how much I suffer and what I go through when I am ingesting such a beverage for your amusement, but also if I drink it while filming, I'll be able to tell you what it is about it that I don't like at that moment in time. But the last time I tried coffee, attempted to consume it, was it was either 2014 or 2015, but it's been that long. And after that, I remember saying, I'll never try again. I'll never go back. But I guess I spoke too soon because now I have a freaking channel where I like to pretty much document my life. And it's only fair for me to do that, keep the project complete. Sometimes women are harder on women than men. Honey, not sometimes. All the damn time. The people who have been more negative and toxic toward me have been women. And now that you say that, one of my newer colleagues actually said that about this person. She said, do you notice how she's mean to other girls? And it's true because I began to observe Miss Manager. And she never tries that with the guys. What she does to the guys is speak in degrading ways, but not at them. Say, one time we were in a meeting and she was telling a story about her nieces. And then she said, well, I feel that my nieces have, I feel bad that my nieces need to spend the weekend with all the stinky boys. It was like her brother with his children, and then the nieces were from another sibling, and they were going to spend the weekend together. And then her brother had sons, and then this other brother had a daughter or daughters or something, and then they were going to spend the weekend on one home. And apparently only this guy was going to be the person in charge of taking care of them because he happened to be off on that weekend day, and then the mom had to work, something like that. Well, you have to spend the weekend now with all the stinky boys. And I'm like, the very stinky boys who probably do everything for you that you would be unwilling to do for some reason. And another instance was that I'll never forget my poor colleague who had tried out to be the office person along with me. I sincerely think that he was set up for failure because the person who trained me was another lady who thinks like that. She tends to say negative things about men. And to give you an example, maybe I made a video about this, but we had launched a program in which we needed to reset an area. There was this room with like a huge armoire, and we needed to move that around. And this person said, when we arrived to the room, well, we should be able to do a really good job with this project because we're all chicks here. And there were two guys present in our group. And then I said, will you refrain from those kinds of comments, please? Because the boys do a good job too. You know, the guys are, they bring the muscle. And then it was time to move that bloody armor. And I remember that our manager at that time was saying, who wants to help this guy move the armor? No fucking female volunteers. And then I said, I can do it. You know, I don't have a problem doing it. But unfortunately, I was too light to be able to make this armor lean toward me. You know, like when you try to place your foot on a dolly to like push it for it to like rise, and then it rests, like the weight of it rests on your arms or something. Well, I needed for the guy to get on the other side of the dolly and help me push the armor, but also I needed someone's help to help me hold it because this thing was significantly heavy, too heavy for me to break the weight of it. So I'm like, are any of you bitches going to make an effort to help me? Because like you are seeing that this thing is literally like a few inches away from becoming unbearable to where it can crush me and cause a tragedy, but your fucking pride is keeping you from being useful. I just remember that I was mega angry that day, and fortunately someone had the guts to step in and help. But when someone says that type of comment, it upsets me because I know that that's not something that females are designed for. But yet we like to cheerlead on ourselves like we are the shit, but when the moment of truth comes for you to prove it, you don't. And that's just upsetting. And that is the type of thing that I say, man, I cannot be prideful. As much as I think I can do amazing things, I always accept that I have limitations. And I will always, 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 if someone offers help and it would be better if someone else takes care of it, I will always accept it. The other day, I declined the help of one guy who, there was like this case of water that was about this height compared to me. And I don't have a lot of shoulder strength. I ain't even gonna lie. And I was like thinking about it and struggling and trying to grab it. And then that guy comes over and he's like, may I help you? And I'm like, let me try this only because if I were alone, I want to see what I can do to help myself bring this down. And then he was like, all right, just as long as you don't get hurt. And I'm like, I appreciate that so much. I know you're trying to be there for me, but I looked at this as a challenge. I know that you're there and I considered asking you for help, but I really want to see if I were by myself, what would I do? What ingenuity can I come up with to like make the job work out for me in the end? But next time, I'll be like, fuck it. I nearly broke my back. You take care of it. You help me. And then in the end, I'll still feel bad because this guy is clearly doing much more than me and we're somehow getting paid the same. And that's not fair. You're doing more than me. So you are more deserving of a pay, greater pay than I am. I'm only getting paid a little more because I've been there longer. And that's why I try to not take advantage of you. If I know that you are like not being compensated properly for what you're doing, I'm like, no, I'm getting paid this much. I need to feel like I'm earning my money. But there are circumstances in which I'll be like, hey, I am experiencing a physical limitation. if I may bother you. But you don't have to do it all alone. I always try to find a way to like collaborate with this person at lifting something, bringing something down. But usually I understand. They say, don't worry, I can take care of it. And that's really a safety thing. I cannot be in the way of this person because then that's what I am. I am in the way. And that's how I'm more likely to get hurt, or he's more likely to get hurt. But yeah, when these females be coming over all prideful, trying to act like they got this, and then when the moment of truth comes, you ain't got it. Bitch, shut up. Nobody wants to hear that. But yes, that is true. Females tend to be mean to other females, and on top of that, they tend to be really degrading of men. Why? And I remember a time when I was becoming that person. When I was in middle school and early in high school, whatever female friendships I was exposing myself to potentially, they kept saying that boys are so terrible. I fucking hate my boyfriend. My boyfriend this, my boyfriend that, my boyfriend doesn't do this, my boyfriend doesn't give me that. And I'm like, when was the last time you did something for him? When was the last time you got him something? When was the last time you bought him something? And then one of them, I'll never forget, said, well, he has to be useful for something. And I'm like, what do you mean? What are you useful for? And basically, I kept challenging her. And as you can imagine, after that conversation, we weren't tight anymore. And then I said, why would I want to be tight with someone who's really judgmental? And you're saying stuff without any substance. And sometimes I get concerned about putting females in positions of power because you already do very little and get by in a low position. Now we're putting you in a higher position with power, with jurisdiction, with authority, and collaborating with you is not something that happens. We are not working with you. We are working for you, because that is the kind of culture and environment that you cultivate in your position of power. And that is what concerns me. I would be all for supporting females if I could encounter a female that really blows my mind and blows me away with her level of involvement at the front lines. But I cannot say that I see that. And that is what concerns me about placing people who have like their emotional personality issues in a position where you need to have a certain kind of personality to make the workplace pleasant. And it's not all about you need to come at work and have the best time of your life, right? Ideally, that's what would happen. But if you create a toxic environment, that is very, very bad. And I tend to not favor automatically females, but I'm not saying that I tend to automatically favor guys either, because there are some guys who I have had to vote against under certain circumstances because I had genuine, legitimate concerns, and those concerns ended up happening. But in general, that is true. Females tend to be really mean to other females. And I honestly cannot understand why. And what's sad is that it's easy to influence you into thinking that way. Because again, when I was in middle school, I was becoming that girl who was saying bad things about men. But on top of that, it didn't help that my father wasn't there and that he had been a douchebag in the first place. So growing up, I did not have the best picture because I was never provided with a good picture. To me, there was no such thing as a good boy or guy because that's not something I just had. And then my brother, he could be quite a douchebag himself when we were at home. So he's not helping. But at the end of the day, I took responsibility for my conduct. I said, this is wrong, and this is why. And now, I don't want to say that I just inherently love men, and men are the greatest, men can do no wrong, etc. But if I hear an allegation, I like to give the guy an opportunity to express themselves, because I feel like a lot of the times we don't listen to them. And just be respectful, be fucking respectful of everybody. Not just because, oh, this is a guy, there's no way I can take him seriously. Guys just operate differently. And you cannot expect for a guy to be happy doing the boring aspects of the job when they would rather be physically laborious. That's just a fact. You know, they get bored about the tasks that females tend to gravitate toward. Don't judge them for it. That's another thing that happens. Like, let's say that we are better at secretarial jobs and men are better at physical jobs. Oh, why does this guy not want to keep his paperwork together? This and that. That's just not how this human being is wired into processing and thinking things. They're just different. Do you like to be breaking down the truck that comes here at 4 a.m. and breaking down the pallet? No? Shut up. Because it's definitely guys taking care of that job. Um, but anyways, yes. Again, it's true. It's absolutely true. And don't let anybody tell you that females don't do that. Females do that. And I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of journals, articles, and probably videos out there. They may be rare and under promoted, but that is a thing. And I used to be that person at some point. Black coffee is delicious depending on the bean. I feel like you have told me that before. In this hot weather, do you prefer a bikini or a one piece? If I were in such a setting, I always wear one piece, and I wear a one piece with an oversized shirt and shorts, because I cannot be exposing myself to the sun like that. I get sunburnt so easily. And on top of that, I've always been very reserved about my body. I've always been very mindful about how much skin I'm showing. And I feel like that's just not something I'm comfortable with. And on top of that, I have never been a fan of like my body when it comes to my abdominal area and my fucking thighs. I feel like that's just it doesn't it doesn't make me happy. Like, it doesn't make me happy to be showing that much skin. And I feel like there's an element of privacy to that. Like, it's not your business to know what my legs above my knees look like. It's not your business to see like my chest, you know? Like, it's weird. And I hate that. So you will never ever see me wearing that. But if I'm at the pool or if I'm at the beach, then I do wear one pieces, but I have it under layers of clothes. I used to be held captive, addicted by Monster energy drinks. It was an excruciating itch. Now that I am over it, I can understand people with coffee addiction. Monster energy drinks. I had a high school friend who every morning she used to drink one can, and she had another can for lunchtime. And she used to drink it like it was juice, and she offered me some, and I drank a little bit of it. And I'll never forget, I was like, I cannot drink this. This is strong. It's not alcohol, but it's very strong. I'll never forget that for some reason that I could not explain, my heart rate was up. And at the time, I didn't know what had caused it. And I'm like, why do I feel my chest just pounding so much? Like, my heart is, it's like a computer. It's really thinking hard and processing something. What is it? And at some point, I read an article about the nutritional aspect of that thing. And I said, oh, I think that was the same day that coincidentally I had a very irregular heartbeat after drinking. And it happened after I drank that. And after that, I said, man, this is dangerous. I cannot mess with this. I'm only 14. You know? What am I doing with this? So My friend, though, she used to drink so much of it, and it really concerned me. Like, wow, what are you doing to yourself, you know? Um, but after that, I never consumed that. I've never had a can of that. I don't think I can do it. I don't remember which one I tried. It was either the green one or the blue one. I think it was the blue one. I sort of remember what it tastes like, and I ain't gonna revisit that. Nope. I think, isn't Red Bull similar, like the same thing or same concept? Energy drink. Um, yeah, you guys let me know. I'll have to experience it through you to know what that's like, because I ain't never playing with that. Um, Try some green tea and Adam Nobby attached $2. Thank you so much for your contribution. And I have tried green tea. Matter of fact, that is the one tea that I drink the most. And I believe I made a video about green tea. It should be called Zam Sips on Some Tea. And I was discussing how I used to hate tea. I used to not be able to handle tea, but now I like tea. And I do green tea, peppermint tea, and hibiscus. I also tried chamomile, but I don't drink it as often. I also intend to buy black tea. And I'm pretty nervous about it because if it tastes anything like what I imagine it to be, I'm hating it already. But I don't want to say I hate it without trying it. But I get a real bad feeling about it. No sponsorship from Starbucks for you. Nah, heck nah. I would never, ever, ever, ever. Unless I became one of those fake ass people. Like, you ever see celebrities promoting a brand of a cell phone and then they be tweeting on like their iPhones or something? Like, say, yeah, try the new Galaxy S20, whatever number they're on. It is amazing. It has this processor. It takes this kind of a photo. It lets you do this and that. And then the next day, after the commercial launches, they tweet about it, and it says, um, posted from Twitter for iPhone or something like that. You know, that looks bad on you. It looks really bad on you. Um, but just know that should the day ever come where I have sponsorships going on, I will never bullshit you. I will never tell you about something I have not personally tried and been blown away with. And let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff in this planet that does not impress me. So, it is very likely that I would shut the doors on many of my sponsors, potential sponsors. But you know what? I would rather die broke than a liar or full of deceit, deception. Like, I cannot imagine a life in which I promote something that I don't get behind, like a certain brand of shampoo or something. Like, no, I know what I like and I will stick to that. I'm willing to try things, but if the sponsor, of course, is expecting for me to give it a 5-star rating, I would rather lose the sponsorship than be like, oh yeah, I totally enjoy this, but I might only use it this time around. So maybe that's the reason why I'll always be broke as hell, because I close the doors on opportunities a lot. But it's not like, I don't think my channel has enough subs to be eligible for sponsorships anyway. I forget what member you need to be. I think I'm like member graphite or something. You need to be silver for that, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't seen those things since like 2016. But just know, guys, that the Zam that you know today is pretty much going to be the same. The only thing that's going to change about me is the evolution of my thoughts based on experience. But I have always discussed that with mom. I'm like, Ma, do you remember when I used to want to be an actress? Because it's great to take another shape, be another character, immerse yourself in another world and make believe and all that. And then I said, but this is deception. I feel like this is deception, and it might go against my spiritual beliefs, you know. And then she said, well, in the name of good entertainment, that's not harmful. And then I said, well, unfortunately, this entertainment can influence people into making certain decisions. Like, if you don't know what influencers are, these are people who go online and they promote products, and they also get an additional what is it? An additional earning for everybody who buys something using their special code or something. And I just cannot imagine a life in which I am not passionate enough about a product and then people are buying it because I'm saying I'm buying it, and they hope to be similar to me, or they really admire my work, my thoughts, who I am, and then I'm selling them something that I am not. And then that's why you probably end up with people who be talking about, I have problems with my self-esteem. I feel like nobody takes me seriously. I have trust issues. I feel depressed. I feel suicidal and everything. And I'm like, why? Why? I mean, you have everything. You have money, you have power, you don't have to worry about your bills for a long time. Oh, but people see through you because there's only so long you can keep a facade for. I don't want to be that person. Like, in the name of maintaining my paycheck, I have to keep feeding you guys bullshit. No. No. So maybe channel sponsorships, if I were to gather that many subs, you guys might be like, the most I ever see on Zam's channel are those fucking commercials that are skippable. Or I don't even add. I don't even know how ads look on my channel. I just know that they're enabled because I said, hey, if I became, if I was offered the partner program, why not, right? But I don't watch back my own videos. I know that they can appear in the beginning, but when it comes to streams, I don't know if streams have ads after I have streamed. I don't know if the setting that I have is supposed to be the three buttons. The first one I see is like in the beginning, non-skippable. The second one I think says mid-roll or something, and I'm like, what does that mean? Is that the one that comes up when people insert their sponsorship in there? Or is that the kind that like a little link pops up and says, if you're watching in desktop, it may show at the bottom too. It's like a little banner looking thing, and it says play Bejeweled or something. When I watch videos on my phone, those do not come up. I only know that those ads are there because I've watched stuff on my laptop, and I'm like, what are those ads called? And then you can also add ads in the end of your video, but I've never personally gone in there and inserted where I want the ads to be. Sometimes I watch videos, and right when the person's about to reveal something, it's like a cliffhanger. The ad breaks that, and then the person finishes the sentence after the ad is over. But sometimes what I hate about ads like that is that unless you're good at editing your video, a little bit of your words gets cut off, and that bothers me so much. But anyway, so when it comes to ads, all I did was switch on, hit the toggler, and activate them, but I literally do not know what they look like. So as a disclaimer, the ads that you see in the beginning of my videos may or may not represent my interests. You know what I should do? I should create a random video, call it a blank video, and then be like, all right guys, this is the video where I officially want you guys to let me know what ads played in the beginning. And maybe the ads that will play are tailored based on what you guys internet habits are, or spending habits. Because let me tell you, I have been seeing ads for things that I had never seen before, and it all started when I got my credit card. Like the brand of candles that I used had come up. Even my own fucking clothes that I sell online, I have had ads promoted to me to buy my own product. And I'm like, bastards. But I do spend a lot of hours in that site, you know. But I have also seen ads for stuff that I have Googled because I was not aware of what it was. Like, say, let's say I type in the name Nike Presto because I heard the name Presto by Nike on shoes, and I'm like, what do those look like? I never in my life saw an ad for Nike until I made the mistake of Googling Nike Presto. Now I see Presto shoes this, Presto that, Nike Pro this, Nike that, and I'm like, good for you, Nike, but there's no way that I would ever pay full price for your merchandise. The only Nike stuff I own is because I went to the thrift store and I got lucky. But outside of that, you will never see me on the Nike website buying something. The only the only website I've been guilty of spending money in is Gymshark. I bought one pair of leggings, and it's because I know for a fact that I will not get lucky enough at a thrift store looking for Gymshark. Women are looking for leggings. The competition and demand for leggings is really, really, really fierce out there. And I just know I won't find Gymshark leggings. I only got lucky one time in my 5 years thrift shopping. I saw a Gymshark hoodie and it was size small, and I am not size small. So I tried it and it was fitted as hell to the point that it felt like my breathing was constricted. And I said, you know what? I cannot do Gymshark hoodies, especially if they're fitted. But I had no way of telling that it was fitted until I tried it on. But the quality is excellent. It's just that that is the reason why I don't do shopping online for clothes. I need to be able to try stuff on. There is stuff that I need to buy large, even though I am medium. Some stuff I have had to buy extra large in spite of me being medium because of the cut. Like, my body is not evenly shaped. Some aspects of me are fat as hell. Some aspects of me are really thin. So, like, how would I be able to tell what goes well on me and what doesn't, you know? So, anyways, I'm not going to talk you guys' ears off about clothes. I have a video intended for that coming up anytime. But yeah, I cannot imagine a life in which I do that. Maybe. The one sponsorship that you guys may see in the future is leggings. Like, if I were to reach out to a company and be like, can I try your leggings so that I can promote them? I will wear them. I will hug them. I will shower with them. I will do anything with your leggings. Then that may be the one sponsorship that you might see. I will bullshit you into buying leggings that you did not know you needed until you stumble upon my channel. So for the guys, I'm not sure what I would do to make my promo appealing to you, but I would probably be like, hey guys, look at this hoodie. You can fit 2 people in it, because, you know, I'm too small for it. But even then, I would probably find a male model and be like, hey, so this is my brother, and he's wearing this kind of hoodie. If you guys are interested, follow the link below, because I cannot say that I consume this. And then the sponsor is like, what the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be the one promoting it. Why are you promoting this wrong? And then they get rid of my sponsorship. I would be so disastrous in business settings. I'm not even gonna lie. No offense to you, Zam. With your way of thinking, feminists must resent you. You seem to understand males better than your court. Females, real men cherish real women. Differences that make us. Did you finish your thought? Because, I guess you mean differences that make us what we are or who we are. To be fair, yes, I have had my episodes, my differences, my conflicts with other females. And honestly, what can I say? I try to deal with it with empathy. And that was not something that I was able to achieve for a long time. And I'm going to try to explain it without rambling too much. But I remember where I came from. I remember that I come from a very broken family. I remember that I come from a home where there was no father figure. And I grew up hating that fact because it affects you indirectly, directly. When you're a little girl, when you're a little kid, people notice that stuff. Look, she's daddyless. And that fucking hurts, you know? Because those are your developing years. And then you're like, I wouldn't be going through this bullshit if I had my useless father with me, right? But because that happened to me, I am able to understand why some females develop into what they develop. Most of the females that I have had my most severe differences with come from broken families like that. And the factor that make us different is the fact that I had a good parental support regardless. Like, my father wasn't there, but my mom was there, and she was a pretty fair person. She would say, when you go to school, this is what you're going to see. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. This is what you're going to hear. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. And this is the reality about you not having your father. This is the stuff that you will have, this is the stuff that you will lack. But remember that as long as you are okay and you're getting everything that you need to get done, that should be your primary concern. And do things in a manner that you can look back and be proud of. So, present day, I have said to two people, when I go to my job, I feel happy that in the midst of adversity, like with the whole situation that we're going through, um, I go there, I do the best that I can, and the best that I can would make my mother proud. So when I think of these females, they have done a lot of things that I know for a fact they're not proud of. An example would be becoming parents when they shouldn't have become parents because they were not prepared for it. Not only do you become a parent, but you become a single parent. And you do not come from the most privileged background to begin with. And now you are beginning to learn the hard way that a lot of work encompasses that decision that you made. Now you're a single mother, you have to work a lot. You are not designed by nature to be working to the extent that is expected of you. Fortunately, you are part of a society that really puts you on a pedestal. So your life is much better than you give it credit for. But somehow you still find a place to complain. And I think the reason we complain a lot, it's because we haven't known better. We haven't had that safety net that we can just like fall onto. And that is really sad. That sucks. Me personally, I have cried a few times feeling like I wouldn't be experiencing the circumstances that I am experiencing now, such as I like to call myself a really, really, really late bloomer. I feel like that wouldn't have happened had my father been there. But I also like to say, you know what? Because my father is not there, I need to look at this as an opportunity of I need to learn to be self-reliant and self-sufficient. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want to have to depend on other people to make my life easier or simpler. I should be independently resourceful enough to take care of my own needs, as opposed to being that single mother who is bugging the father for more money than the court actually tells them that they need to pay anyway, because she is really bad about her personal finances. And because you cannot control your female instinct of being a consumer, you are more of a consumer than a producer. And I personally can say that I am guilty of that. Sometimes I'm like, look at those leggings. Those are such cute leggings. I don't have leggings in that color. I need leggings. And then I'm like, right, I love leggings. But just because leggings make me happy doesn't mean that I should be spending on them. The little bit of hard earned money that I have needs to be invested responsibly. And there have been times in which I have been like, I'm going to regret this because I know that when I come back, they're not going to be there. But you know what? A lot of the opportunities that I passed, or say, I cannot call them opportunities because I couldn't act on them, but let's say the most beautiful leggings ever were just gone. At some point, I forget about them. I forget that I wanted them. The only thing that is still in my mind is back in 2010, there was this red dress that I just wanted. I didn't even have reasons to own a dress. I just really dreamed of having a red dress because I'm not a dress person, but I knew exactly the kind I was looking for. And I saw one that was very similar to what I was looking for. And I was like, the dress of my dreams, it's $50. And I don't have money. I'm not going to demand this from my mom. She doesn't have money either. And even if she did, it's not my right to demand for her that she give me her money to get me something. That's something that she does if she wants to. But for some reason, as females, we like to look at the world as we are entitled to it. I am entitled to getting something for cheaper. I am entitled to getting my car repaired for little to no cost. I am give me that. I want this, I want that. Demands, demands, demands. But what are you actually giving back? What are you actually producing? What are you sharing? What are you contributing? It seems that we spend most of our time, lives, probably, asking, demanding, consuming. Asking, demanding, consuming. And when I know that that is what I am predisposed to, I need to shut the fuck up, you know? Because I'm not contributing to the system that makes my life so comfortable and so amazing to live, to where nobody even second guesses if what I'm saying about a man doing something something to me is even true. Do you understand how much privilege that is? Do you understand how much fucking power that is? And you're deciding to not use it responsibly because you're selfish and really self-centered and have zero regard for those around you. So, yeah, my relationships with females are not the greatest because I talk to them like that. All of the stuff that I just said to you guys, that I just rambled about, I have had these discussions with other females, and they're like, uh, like the rain of insults that come my way, it's not even repeatable. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one who is miserable and suffering and alone in that department. Like, I feel confident that I can go home and nobody thinks, wow, I just had the worst life, the worst shift, the worst experience with this girl. Like, I'm pretty sure that no one goes home to talk angry about me except the person who got offended about the truth that I was telling them. And what saddens me even more is that some guys have become fearful of being accused of not being supportive of your girl, to the point that if you find yourself involved with a female like this, you feel like although the outsider is right and your woman is wrong, you opt to stand up by her side, stand by her, because you're a good guy and that's what you want to do. You want to show support for your girl. But sometimes I feel like you may not be aware of how much damage you're doing, because now you're helping this girl believe that she is right because her tough man, which she probably prior to meeting and even after meeting, she degrades you. You know, with your company, she feels invincible. look at this. I was able to manipulate this guy into giving in to all of my demands, my diva lifestyle and everything. And it really saddens me because I'm like, why do the good guys go after girls like that, whereas I'm here struggling to find a decent guy, and then the decent guys who like supposedly show up, I'm like, you showed up when I'm no longer available. But anyways, that it's so much, and that's why I say, please think about things critically, because maybe some of the stuff that I just said, you guys wouldn't have considered it because it's not something that you personally experience. Maybe you have been the guy who has decided to stay single for a long time because your attempts to mingle have been miserable, and you have a right to be that way. And it's sad because I feel like humans are designed as social creatures to end up paired up with someone. But if you opt for not being involved personally with another person, nobody can blame you because that has negative consequences nowadays. And I personally, for instance, have not decided to like say have kids or something because I know that the time is not right. And I also don't think it's fair for you as a guy that you have your goals and your career and everything, and I'm going to be like, well, I want a kid. So it's either you give me my kid or, my kid, or this is it. And then some guys just care so much that you give in, even if it ruins you, and you're still perseverant. How can I not admire the traits that males exhibit? They tend to be perseverant and persistent, resilient, all those traits that I cannot say I can rival a lot of the time. And that's why guys exist and they're contrary to us. Because imagine if we didn't have that discipline and that balance. How would stuff get done? So, again, anytime I speak about females, I don't mean to bash them. I don't want to portray myself like I'm this perfect female. Like, I don't give any issues or problems. I know I have my diva moments. I can be a bitch as well. And sometimes I get shocked at how much I act like that too. Like, I'm demanding a lot. But honestly, I demand a lot of myself. My boyfriend, if I were to feature him, he cannot sit here and say, Zam demanded that I give her this or give her that. If I have needed help, the way I phrase it is, hey, I have this situation. I'm going to be late paying my car. I would not like to be late at paying my car. What happens is I'm getting paid the week after it is due. Could you possibly lend me this money? And on this day, at this time, you will receive it back. One time. I only asked for help that one time. He got his money back on the time and the date and the place that I said I would give it back to him. And he understood. He didn't hesitate at all. Like by the time that I was like, hey, I need help getting my car covered, he was already reaching for his wallet, and I'm like, I'm not done telling you. And he was like, no, whatever it is, I got you. I know stuff happens. I needed help one time and my father helped me. And I'm like, thank you for understanding. I don't want you to feel like I'm going to be that person who's going to ask you for this amount and then I'm gonna be like, you want that money back? Why? You're my boyfriend. You're supposed to just give it to me. I don't have the guts in me to be that way because I don't feel like I deserve it. And anytime someone even gets me something, I feel so guilty. Like one time, a colleague bought me my protein drink, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Nobody buys me anything. No, you can't do that. This and that." Sam, I fucking love you. I just want to do something nice for you, and that just blew my mind. Like blew me away. You have no idea. I always got used to my mom being the one spoiling me, and then other times I may call or text my boyfriend or tell him if he stops by. I'm like, hey, if for some reason you find yourself at a store, could you pick up some cat litter for me? and I'll give you the cash. I'll also chip in a couple of extra dollars for gas if you need it or something. But remember, do it only if you can, only if you are already going to a store. You do not need to accommodate this, only if it's convenient for you. No matter how many times I say that, he shows up with the fucking cat litter, even though I know that he did not go to the store. And I'm like, what else did you get at the store? He goes, nothing. I just went for the cat litter. And I'm like, I told you, don't do that unless you're already going to the store. Like, that is how guilty I feel about asking for help, but also how much I'm trying to be considerate of the potential sacrifices that someone is making for me. I cannot be a diva and act spoiled. I cannot take that for granted. I just cannot. But at the same time, I am grateful that I am blessed with having those people in my life. But maybe those people in my life are not inherently that way. Maybe I have cultivated my relationships to be that way. So if you see someone willing and able and wanting to help me, maybe don't look at it as I am brainwashing them or manipulating them or anything. You don't know what has happened behind the scenes. This has been years of cultivating a relationship to be healthy. You cannot expect to do that onto another person and expect the same results that I get when you have not cultivated that, you know? So, that's another thing that has happened to me. Females have been like, oh, well, you don't have anything to worry about since you have someone who takes care of you. And I'm like, you don't know what happens behind the scenes. And no, I do not always get my way, believe it or not. So that kind of behavior is what frustrates me the most about female connections. And it's because we can never agree on that. The the respect doesn't seem to be there. And above anything, I will always be respectful, always. And if I'm not respectful, I'll always be the first person to acknowledge that I wasn't respectful. But when you consistently act entitled, I cannot respect you because you don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything. But in my mind, I always think that I deserve so much better than I get only because I go out of my way to keep my life simple. I don't look for trouble. I do my job as best as I can. I try to be a good daughter. I try to be a good girlfriend and everything. Heck yeah, I work hard. I deserve a lot of good things. But just because I feel like I deserve them doesn't mean I'm entitled to it. There is a difference. And yeah, maybe one day I'll make an official topic about maybe more experiences of negative things that females have done toward me, and even some of the stuff that I have done as a female because I'm a female that I can acknowledge as a toxic conduct. But honestly, I don't create that official topic only because I feel like it's very easy to misinterpret as well. And we live in a society that's really sensitive about the things that you do. And I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. But in the end, I end up discussing it anyway. I mean, look at the stream. It just turned into that. I don't mind it, but not everybody will understand that. But anyway, I may or may not. If I do get to it, oh well, it gets done. But just know that, yes, my relationships with females are not the greatest. Do girls feel cheated or envious they don't have an upper body strength, or do they expect it as natural? I personally expect it as a natural, because I mean, just all you have to do is look at yourself. I don't have broad shoulders. I don't have traps. Like, this is just not developed. And when it comes to your chest, you have glands in that area that are meant for maternal purposes. You cannot expect for that area that is intended for maternity to be an area that really exerts itself. If you think about your own damn body critically, that should be common sense, you know? But let's see, what was the other thing? I don't feel cheated only because I just understand that my body needs to look and be and develop in the manner that it does to be functional. Because I am the first person to admit that if I had upper body strength, maybe when I am pregnant, I would want to continue my job performance, even my gym performance, to that extent, and forgetting that I have another life growing in me that I need to regard, you know? So maybe it was designed like that as a precaution. Hey, you need to calm down because these organs are really fragile, and you can get carried away working hard to the point that you just forget and bad things happen. Um, but yeah, when guys are dominant of certain things than I am, I just cannot be offended over that because I understand that there is a difference. What I like to do is attempt to understand the process, to learn from it, but I never expect to put out the same kind of performance. And I never try to be competing against that, because I'm not saying it's impossible to beat a guy in certain things. You can arm a good strategy to make something work out for you in the end, right? But I just cannot think that way. That's not the way my brain is wired. My brain is not wired with an inferiority complex of I have to prove something. I don't have to prove anything at all. So that's why I'm not bothered by the fact that guys will always be superior to me in certain things, in the same manner that we can do stuff that you guys just cannot. And you guys ain't sitting there crying over it, right? So why would we be the ones crying over it? I don't get it. Um, Adam has sent. I've never seen one of those stickers live before. I created a stream that turned into that, me clicking on random stickers, but I was like, hey, I never get to see what these are like. And I'm not about to send money to myself through a stream, you know? But yeah, that seems to be some kind of teacup with. What creature are you? Are you a pear? A pear. It's really nice. Again, thanks for your contribution. Sponsorship for hair growth product for girl. I need a haircut. I'm pretty sure everyone in the quarantine is saying that, but I have always done my own haircut. I probably need to do this much. I should probably trim a lot of my hair and then measure it and come back months later and tell you guys the rate of growth, because it's unbelievable how fast my hair grows. And I feel like there was a time it used to not grow this fast, but maybe it's just because I wasn't really tracking it. You know, I wasn't tracking it until people told me, you have long hair. Your hair really grew. Your hair is really getting long, girl. And I'm like, yeah, hair kind of does that. It gets long. It should get long. For some people, it doesn't anymore because of, natural causes. But yeah, look at my bush hair. It looks like a little bush. Nah, but what hair product would I promote? I honestly don't use anything. All I use on my hair is coconut oil. So if you guys wonder how my hair is at the top of its game, even when it's precipitating outside, coconut oil. Grandma's secret. I had a girl ask me that at work one time. She was like, Zam, how the fuck is your hair looking so amazing? And I'm like, coconut oil. But I have not put anything on it since I washed it yesterday, which that is like the worst thing you can do to your hair. But I said, man, long hair, no care. And on top of that, I'm here at home. I don't need to be looking good for anybody. Not that I live my life trying to look good for anybody. But you guys cannot see it, but it's brownish looking. But it tends to look black. But it's really brown. I promise you that my hair is brown. And of course, if it were really sunny outside, when the sun's rays hits my hair, it looks brownier. But yeah, It's just dark. My hair is just dark. It's not jet black. And I would never dye my hair. I have never dyed my hair, but once the grays really start showing, I don't intend to conceal it. I feel like my hair is supposed to turn gray for a reason. So if that makes my, what can I say? My sexual market value go down, oh well, it goes down. But I'm not going to be that person who's obsessed about dyeing it unless I miss my past. Like, you know how sometimes you get nostalgic and you may play a movie from like your childhood or something? Maybe I may be like, hey, what does old me look like with young hair, you know? But I cannot imagine a life in which I become obsessed about my appearance like that, you know? I'm not saying I'm never going to do it. It's just that it's never been a part of my routine. So I don't see why I should start obsessing over it now that I'm actually looking for peace, you know? Um, Great live stream. Gotta get ready for work. 12-hour shift. Bye for now. 12-hour shift. My goodness, that is merciless. Well, thank you so much for joining us and have a good day. If you want to, next time that you're present on a stream, let us know how your shift went. Because I always feel for people who have long ass shifts for that. I complain about an 8-hour shift, but I cannot imagine regularly doing 12-hour shifts. From your comments, I grasped values, morals, and ideals. I would like wholeheartedly appreciate the figure that instilled all these in you. Now that you say that, I always wonder, when does stuff happen? When did you officially, if applicable, mature? When did you realize that you liked someone, that you fell in love with someone? When did you become good at something? Like, when did you become good at drawing? When did you become good at music? At your job, whatever it is that you do. I cannot even remember when I was able to type without looking at the keyboard. I thought I would never fulfill that, but I did. And I don't know when it happened. And I understand that a lot of things in life is just a progression. Like, you take little baby steps until you take another step, another step, another step, and then you develop into what you are. But just when is the day that all of those pieces of progression come together to ultimately show that you have grasped something? You know, that is something I would really love to understand. And I would like to understand the opposite. What is it in my brain? What synapse is malfunctioning? Mega malfunctioning that I cannot understand, say, the stock market? What is wrong in my brain that keeps me deprived from understanding uh, logarithms or something like that, which they're just the inversion of an exponent, I think. But what keeps me from being able to, no matter where the hell I stand, I'm able to solve those things. You know? So in the same manner that you wonder, oh, I remember a time when I couldn't do this, but one day I woke up and I was suddenly good at it. Why is it that you stay bad at something, but then someday a miracle happens and you're able to understand something? I'll never forget when I was able to solve my first relatively complex equation. I was like, oh wow, I understand this. I don't need to look at my notes. I don't need to ask for a hint. Nothing. I was able to just sit there, solve it on my own, on my first try. That's what I would like to understand. Just what happens to where you get that moment of like that euphoria of, oh my goodness, I get it. It's unbelievable. And you're so overjoyed by it, you know? it's like an epiphany kind of moment. Like, I just get it. That has happened to me so many times. But I wish that I understood just how that happens. What needs to take place for that to be a thing, you know? The hair growth is the measure of one's health. Well, I don't know. To me, I feel like my hair has gotten a whole lot lifeless. But that's true because I have heard that guys really like it on a female to have long hair because it's a symbol of fertility or something. And I'm like, as bad as my body is and my periods are and like my metabolism and hormones are, sometimes I wonder if I would even be able to conceive easily, or if I would be one of those people who needs to do like a lot of therapy to make my insides more favorable for the growth of another human being. But sometimes I think it's a matter of luck. It's a blessing. Like, it may be difficult to conceive, but it may be easy. I do not know as much about my body as I feel like I should. And that's sad because I feel like the women from back in the day knew so much better with much lesser resources. But then again, they had their priorities straight. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure what the future has in store for me. But I really hope that I'm healthy. Because let me tell you, sometimes I do not feel like I'm healthy. I have had to chicken out from a few of my shifts lately. So, needless to say, that worries me a little bit. But unfortunately, I'm not a person who's like irresponsible and taking on debt that I cannot handle. But yeah, sometimes I get scared. I'm like, no matter what, I need to trudge if I have to, but I cannot miss my shifts. But then I said, man, I think if I spend the time recovering, then I will be able to come back full force and make up for that somehow. But I have been learning to prioritize my well being much more, and I have been so much happier. I'm just disappointed that I didn't start thinking this way sooner. Well, guys, I believe that you guys have had enough of me for this segment. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening and participating, engaging, understanding me, and sharing whatever thoughts it is that you have to share. It has helped me grow so much for the past 4 years. And especially when it comes to my shyness, I feel like had it not been for the channel, there is just some stuff that I would still be um, in my little shell still. But it's very good to listen to people who come from different walks in society, and everyone has something to contribute. You just never know who you're influencing and what consequences, positive and or negative, that may have. But just know that I've had nothing but positive experiences here, and even the lesser pleasant experiences have been learning experiences. So anyways, I will do my best to show up again in here in a couple of hours, because I really have so many things to discuss that I'm eager to discuss. And it's about time I started catching up with my little agenda here. So anyways, have a good rest of the day if I don't see you later, and I'll see you soon.